Hi everyone, it's me. My name is Alanna and I'm a Canadian, but I have been living here in the UK for the last 8 years. Recently, my partner and I went back to Canada, Ontario, Canada, where I'm from, to visit my family. I try to go sort of once a year, every summer, when I know it's not going to be snowing. But there's loads of like Canadian culture bits that really shocked him. So grab a seat, put your feet up, get cozy. Let's talk about weird Canadian culture things that really surprised my partner. And without further ado, let's go. So what could possibly be shocking to a British person in Southern Ontario? How about the amount and variety of wildlife? So we're talking things like squirrels, frogs, chipmunks, foxes, raccoons, deer, moths, any type of insect, rabbits, all of that in our back garden. I can't tell you how many messages or emails or comments I've had from British people being like, have you ever seen a moose? Do you guys get moose? No. They do exist, obviously. I mean, polar bears technically exist, but I've never seen one. Where I am in Southern Ontario, or where I'm from in Southern Ontario, like very, very south, basically like into the US, really, when you look at a map. Loads of people live in Southern Ontario. The population density is really, really high, and there are no mooses. So that sucks. But also that's good. But what was really surprising to my British partner was just the amount of wildlife that we saw in our backyard. So it's not like we were going out into the wilderness. We live in a high density area, and yet we were seeing deer and foxes and raccoons and so many rabbits. So many. And obviously you get wildlife here in the UK. Unfortunately, a lot of it I think has been killed off. Can we say that? I think that's fair to say. What's next? I wrote down my list, otherwise I'll forget everything. I love making lists. Oh, have you ever been to Canada? If you ever saw something weird in Canada, please leave a comment down below. I'd love to know your perspective of my home. Basically, this whole channel is my perspective of the UK, watched primarily of British people, but let's reverse it. If you've been to Canada, which I hope you had a great time, but no worries if not, leave a comment down below. What's something that really surprised you about Canadian culture? Next up, flagpoles. Now, I didn't really think about this until he mentioned it, but how many British homes have you seen with like a full-sized flagpole in their front garden? Because I don't think I've ever seen it. Now, my family has never had one, but you walk around any neighborhood in Canada and you will see properties with flagpoles. The little Canada flag flying in the breeze. Growing up in Ontario, it was an inside joke with my dad. I always thought it was super cheesy. Like, we know what country we're in. Why do we need a flagpole? Obviously now I can see that it's much more about, you know, a pride thing, you know, you're patriotic for your country and all this stuff. But I always thought it was really cheesy. So my dad used to tease me that, you know, one day I'd come home from school and he would have a flagpole in the front yard. This is also something that you definitely see in the US, having a flagpole in your front yard. Nothing too unusual or too crazy, but yeah, I hadn't really thought about it until he mentioned it. Flagpoles here, just in regular homes, not mansions, not like huge sprawling countryside homes, just, you know, a house with a flagpole. While there was a load of weird stuff that my partner and I noticed, we did have a lovely time in Canada. It is a real privilege to be able to go home once a year. I know not all expats abroad can say that. And if you are able to go to Canada, I would 100% recommend it. If you would like to visit my home country or perhaps take a trip abroad, definitely check out today's sponsor, Directo. Directo is a free browser extension that you can use on your computer to get you the best deals on accommodations. So this is all while browsing your favorite websites. So places like Airbnb, Booking, Expedia. You don't have to do any extra research to try and find a better deal. Directo will tell you if there is one. Getting started is as simple as Googling the Directo extension. And then you're gonna wanna head over to the Chrome web store. Then simply add to Chrome. And that's it. So now we can start finding deals on accommodations. Now, I don't know about you, but I wanna go to Rome. I went for like 2 days, like 10 years ago, and I wanna go back. So I plugged in my details as normal on booking.com for my trip to Rome, and you can scroll through. It looks pretty similar, right? Except there's all these Directo icons on all the hotels that Directo has probably found a better price. God, there's loads of them. So if you are interested in that particular property, all you have to do is click on the Directo icon. It will take you directly to that hotel's website where Directo has found a better deal than what is being shown on Booking. So rather than having to Google around and try to find the best deal, maybe on this website, maybe on that website, Directo takes all of that mess out of it. You can just view properties as you normally would, Airbnb, Expedia. Directo will tell you if there's a better deal. It's that simple. If you'd like to save money on your next holiday, definitely check out my link in the description. Try out Directo. It's so simple. I hope you guys enjoy it. Maybe come to Canada? Ooh, wouldn't that be fun? Anyway, thanks so much to Directo for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to it. Now, how about billboards? Billboards everywhere. So driving down the highway, and we're passing billboards for like realtors. And my partner goes, you don't really see that in England, do you? And again, this was something that I hadn't really like clued into until he said it. Now this in particular is way worse in the US compared to Canada. Canada in the US, as much as Canadians don't like to admit it, very similar, like real similar. But something that is definitely a bit more extreme in the US is the amount of billboards. We used to drive from Southern Ontario all the way down to Florida growing up, me at least, not my partner, and the amount of billboards, the variety of billboards was pretty wild. But that is just common. In Ontario, we definitely have billboards, but less than the US, certainly more than the UK. And of course, the argument I know in the comments, I already know, safety, right? Like, if you have this giant advertisement that you are driving on the motorway and you're trying to read it, not like the best safety situation, right? But for whatever reason, that's okay in Canada. We have billboards. You're gonna see them driving along the highway, especially in the US. My God, some of them are wild. Next up, something that is quite shocking in Canada is customer service. From cashiers to bartenders to like shop staff, everybody is so nice. And again, I know what you guys are gonna say in the comments. I already know. I know that the argument for a lot of British people is that they don't like the customer service in North America because they think it is all fake. You're paid to be nice to people. You're paid that you have to smile and be friendly and all that kind of stuff. And British people say they don't like it because it's fake and it's very obviously fake. Which, sure, okay, but also, what a nice experience it is. It's positive, you have a nice time, someone actually is being friendly to you and you feel wanted in that store or pub or restaurant or whatever. There's been times in the UK where I've gone into a pub or a shop or a restaurant or whatever, and the customer service is quite bad that you don't even really want to be there. They don't make you feel like they want you to be there. And that's just like not a nice experience. So yes, I get that the argument is customer service in North America is so fake, so phony. Sure, but isn't it such a much more positive experience when someone is being kind or funny or friendly? You know, you then reciprocate that and it's just like a nice experience for everybody. But this was definitely something my partner noticed. He was so shocked at how friendly and kind and funny strangers were, cashiers, bartenders, everybody. It was just a really nice customer service wherever we went. So while we're out at a restaurant, say for lunch, had a nice lunch out, customer service was wonderful, everybody was really nice and funny, and then it gets to the end of the meal and they bring over takeaway containers. Every time we went out, whether for lunch or for dinner or whatever, there would be a table with a takeout container. It's just part of the culture and it's totally socially acceptable. I was explaining to my family that here in the UK, you go out to a meal, you really are not taking that home with you, only in very few instances. But if you think of just like a regular restaurant meal, you're out at a restaurant, you're not packing up what you don't eat and take it home. Typically, I want to say like 99% of the time, which to any North American is a really strange concept. It feels like food waste. It's like, if you haven't finished it, you should take it home. You're not wasting food. I think portion sizes are something that's quite a bit different between the UK and North America, which certainly adds to this issue. You're getting a smaller portion in the UK, typically. You're not taking anything home because you've likely finished. In North America, sometimes the portions are huge and they kind of expect you to take some of it home. I've never asked for a takeaway container in the UK because I feel like that is something that is very socially not really acceptable. In North America, absolutely nobody would bat an eye. Oftentimes when the like, what's the name of the server? Oftentimes the server would come over at the end of the meal. If you still had stuff on your plate, they'd ask you, hey, do you want a doggy bag? Doggy bag is usually what we call it. Or like a takeout box. Do you want to wrap that up? You want a doggy bag? Like, that's totally fine. It's not offensive. It's not rude. It's not gross or looked down upon. You haven't finished your meal, take it home and you can finish it later. But to my British partner, this was wild. When a glass drops at a restaurant, nobody cheers. I think this one is pretty obvious for British people watching. If you are out somewhere and a glass shatters, everyone cheers. Way! My partner and I were out to dinner at a restaurant. What do I do when I go to Canada? Basically, like, go out to patios, go out to restaurants, and I eat a lot. So my partner and I were out and a glass dropped and shattered, and we look around and nobody says anything. Just silence. I think this probably plays into like the sort of banter type element of British humor. People will take the piss out of you if you do anything weird or anything embarrassing. If you drop a glass, people will cheer. Oh my God, like, check out that guy, dropped his glass. I think it's just part of the humor. And while UK, British humor, and Canadian humor is so similar, this is definitely something that is different. You're not gonna get cheers and clapping and way when someone shatters a glass. People are just gonna pretend they didn't notice. Typically. I'm sure you're gonna find some dive bars where people might cheer. Now, there is something that is very weird in Southern Ontario specifically, and this comes up often, and yeah, I get it. Bagged milk. What's that about? It is a weird thing, let's face it. But also, fun fact, bagged milk is not widely Canadian. I think a lot of British people think Canada, mousse, maple syrup, bagged milk. You're not totally wrong, but you're kind of wrong. Now, you're only gonna see this bagged milk phenomenon in certain provinces. Ontario, definitely. Ontario is definitely a bagged milk, I was gonna say country, province. Quebec is also another place you'll see bagged milk. They wanna be their own country. Other places, it's really not a thing. The more you know. We're just learning loads today. So when I say bagged milk, some people you maybe can't picture what that is. Basically, in homes like mine in Southern Ontario, you would get a plastic milk jug and you would have this jug for literally decades. And you go out and you buy milk. And milk usually comes in 3 individual plastic bags. Wobbly, jiggly bags of milk. You take one bag and you put it in the plastic jug and you cut the corner, so the handle, you cut the outer corner, and then you can pour it like that, you store it. When that bag is empty, you take it out and you put a new bag in. That's the general idea. Some people say like, oh my God, they must burst all the time. No, I've never had a bag of milk explode on me before or leak. They're quite tough. They're built to store milk, right? So they're not gonna puncture immediately. I Googled it. Why bagged milk? What's the deal, Google? So milk bags were introduced in the late 1960s as a response to the changes in the dairy industry, specifically the transition to the metric system. So the change to metric in the 60s required milk to change how it was packaged, just to make it easier, and they actually found that bags were to be more convenient and affordable. Milk bags are easier to produce and transport compared to like cartons or glass. The lightweight plastic bags also reduce shipping costs. So Canada is a big place and you gotta move food and milk from far distances. So cheaper to make, cheaper to transport, It was adaptable to this new metric system. Seems like a great idea. Also, some people claim, and this actually makes sense, I never thought of this before, so I'm learning something new. I hope you are too. That bagged milk is actually like a fresher option. Why? Because they come in 3 separate bags. So you open one bag at a time. When that's done, you open another. So the milk actually stays fresher. It's sealed. It's not just open in the fridge the entire time, which I never considered until this exact moment. Something that my British partner finds really surprising about Canada, and now unfortunately it is something that I cannot unsee, and it is that the sky feels so much higher. This is hard to explain because it's like a feeling. You know, the sky is the sky, all right? Not much we can do about it. But in Ontario, it feels like the ceiling of the sky, the limit of the sky is so much higher and like all this vast open space. Whereas when you come to England, the sky feels so much lower. I don't want to say it feels claustrophobic because that's kind of weird, but sort of. The only thing that I can really think of, and science, give me a call or leave a comment down below. The only thing that seems sort of obvious to me is perhaps like clouds, type of clouds, where the clouds sit in the atmosphere. Ooh, I don't know. Something to do with clouds maybe, perhaps. So in Canada, it feels like the clouds either aren't there or they're so high up, or maybe they're a different type of cloud. They're not as perhaps oppressive as the clouds here in the UK, where it feels like it's, yeah, they feel lower. They feel like they are just above your head. It's much more like low down, low ceiling. Mind your head, you better duck. But yeah, this whole concept of like the sky feels higher is a weird one. And now unfortunately I can't unsee it, especially when we first land in England after being in Ontario for a couple of weeks. It's really, really noticeable. I'm like, oh my God, like where's the sky? There's no sky. If you are able to visit Canada, I really hope that you can take advantage of it. It's a wonderful place. Big shout out to Directo for sponsoring this video. If you are going on holiday, make sure to check them out and save a bit of money, because who doesn't like saving money? If you'd like to watch more videos, which would be totally awesome, why not check out this one, British things I miss while in Canada. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye!